Right now, I'm actually heading to meet with a client at a middle point. He works a lot, and I have to get a document from him, and he couldn't seem to stop at the office, so I try to make it convenient for him. In the meantime, I'm also going to give you my first impressions of the Honda Grom as we endure this COVID-19 crisis. Okay, let's go. Appreciate you rocking with Titus. So, I'm actually heading to Fun Bike Center. It's a motorsport shop here in local. And so the buyer, I got to get a document from him and scan it for him. He's just been unable to do it. And so I'm just going above and beyond doing my part as a real estate agent. Anyway, so I want to give my impressions of the Honda Grom. Now, this is a 2014 Honda Grom, so it's not a new Honda Grom. It's new for me, but not only that, it's still a small bike. So I think that it's fair that I can give an adequate review in terms of just my impressions. Now, I've always wanted a Honda Grom, but ideally I wanted it after I got my big bike. I've owned 3 bikes in the past, but I don't have a big bike now. I lost it in a hurricane. So I ended up finding this bike for cheap. The seller they had it listed for $2,400 on Facebook Marketplace, and I offered $1,500. I offered $1,500. That's what you do. You just, when you got a budget and you're not really trying to spend, you just keep making offers. Somebody will bite most of the time, but all you need is one person anyway. So they came back at 17. I said, how about 16? I got to get a helmet. So we agreed on 16. So, it was just, why not, right? We were at a Home Depot in a parking lot, and the first impressions was, wow, bike was fun. Keep in mind, I haven't ridden a bike for some time since I lost my bike to the Hurricane Irma, and so I haven't ridden for some time. So I was already, just thrilled like a kid in a candy store. So I was like, wow. I took it home, and the next day I was like, wow. It was a fun bike, That's just the truth of the matter. Now, so after riding it for some time, right? Now, when I say first impressions, I mean the first couple of times I've ridden the bike. After maybe a week on the bike, I started viewing the bike a little bit differently, and it was still fun. But it's a toy. If I'm honest, it's a toy. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just understanding that it is a toy. It's a bike, it's a motorcycle, but it feels more like a toy. So even though I went in there knowing that, it's a fun bike, a hooligan bike, I didn't really expect it to feel like a toy. And it doesn't mean that I'm a professional rider. A toy is not a bad thing. It's just, how when you buy a toy as a kid and you get sick of it? I haven't gotten sick of it, but I know that I will. That's how it is. So it's fun, but as I think about it, it's not the bike that you buy unless it's a secondary bike. It's a good secondary or a third bike, but as a main bike, there's just not enough there. And so that's what I mean when I say it's a toy. It's like, it's just not enough. So suddenly my mindset was like, okay, so how do I maximize enjoying this? I joined a Facebook group, some local Grom riding groups. I haven't really did much group riding because naturally I'm not a group rider. I'm a lone rider. I like being by myself. So when I do ride it, I'm thinking, okay, which roads do I take to have the most fun? If you're on a straight road, it's not really that much fun, right? Okay, this light is not going to change, and I have to meet with this guy. Okay, there we go. So initially, the bike is a blast. And, you know, so I say that I don't want to make it like it's not a fun bike. The bike is a blast. Because I got to find this guy. He says he's in a black truck. I think he's in a black pickup truck. There you go. I don't know where he's at. What's up, man? So you got all right. So I met with him, and he still didn't have all the documents. Actually, he didn't have any of them. It's fine, no biggie. Anyways, let me get back to my initial impressions of the Honda Grom. The Grom is like a toy. Toys are fun, but they're still toys. With that being said, it is a bike, right? It is a motorcycle, but it's a toy motorcycle. So I don't want to give the impression that you can't die on it, right? I mean, if you get on it, you don't know what you're doing, you can still crash and break something. In terms of the bike really possessing power and really feeling like a big boy bike, it doesn't. But you walk in there knowing that. So the bike is a fun bike. The first impressions, it was fun. But then a few days, I did really recognize the lack of power. So this is the bike. 2014 Honda Grom. It's kind of beat up. I mean, but I paid $1,600 for it. When you first get the Honda Grom, the initial impression is that, you know, it's a fun bike. And then once you get through that period, my mindset was, you can see the seat right here, it's not, yeah. But once you get past the fun stage, my mindset was, you know, it's fun like a toy. And depending on how much you play with toys, you can get sick of a toy. I haven't gotten sick of this yet, but I don't ride it as much because it doesn't feel like a vehicle. It doesn't feel like a vehicle. It's fun, but you know, if I'm riding down the street to pick up something, you know, I have to decide what roads am I taking. You know, can I make this ride fun where I'm going? And if not, then I may not even want to get on it. And so the initial impression is fun. It's for someone who wants a toy. If you're a new beginner and you want a Honda Grom, I would say it's probably not the best bike to go, because if you've never ridden a motorcycle, you really can't appreciate the speed of this bike, meaning the purpose. Because you're going to get on it, and as your skills increase, you're going to want more power. And then when you can't get that power, you're going to want something more, because you haven't quite experienced or really, you know, gotten your complete fix on power. I think everybody has to go through that phase. But I do think it would be different if you already have buddies who ride and they're all on Groms or Z125s. Then at that point, you're just joining the club and you already know you're going to go out and rock out. But if that's not the case, I'm not sure if you're going to get what you want from it. Those are my initial impressions. But if you can get one for so cheap, try it, test it out. But if you're trying to look to buy a new one or spend some money on one, even if it's not new, I don't know.
For a new rider, I don't think so. For an experienced rider, I think if you know what you're getting yourselves into, then fine. For a new rider, I don't think you can know what you're getting yourself into. So that's my 2 cents. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for rocking with me.